know you guys, everybody's a little tired, a little wind up from all the soccer we played, right? Sure. All right, so today I brought my medals per Tisha's request. But the cool thing about these medals is each medal has a particular story attached to it. Like this one I'm holding now, this one is like the story of my first event ever, like my first track meet ever that I ran, and that was in Arizona. This second one here is my first Olympic trials, and that was a very dramatic story attached to that one, but it's a silver medal, so it's really cool. And then this medal here is a medal that I got last year in Santiago, Chile, and that was a very interesting story as well. But today we're focusing on this medal, which is a half marathon medal. And this is the story of the first time and the last time I'm ever running a half marathon. But in order for me to tell this story, I notice every time I speak to you guys, I kind of do a disservice to the stories because I never tell the full story of everything. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, but you just gotta hold on, okay? Just hold on and kind of bear with me. So when I first lost my vision, I landed a little bit not too far away from here, which is in Newport News, Virginia. And I ended up, having to, get rid of my car, quit my job, and go stay with my mom. And that was a little difficult because my mom didn't necessarily know how to be. Is that a bird? No, a baby. Oh, okay. Yes. So my mom. One thing I didn't realize is that when you lose an ability, you go blind, you're not the only person that goes through a transition. So I was staying with my mom, and she was so used to me being a young adult, independent person, and in that time it was a little difficult for me because she just didn't know what to do. So sometimes I would be home, and we would run out of food or something like that, and I'd be like, "Hey, Mom, I need these things," and she would just kind of be like haphazard about them. And that really was a challenge for me, and I started losing weight and going through all these different things, and I got a little depressed, because I didn't have any mobility skills at that time. So I ended up talking to a friend, and it was like, "Hey, Antoine, have you considered going to school?" So I was like, "Okay, I'll try to do that," and end up moving to Williamsburg. There's a community college right around the corner. It used to be called Thomas Dustin's Community College. Y'all heard of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, it's like right around the corner. So I started going there, and I asked my mom, I said, "Hey, will you guys make sure I'm okay? You guys can check on me, help me get groceries and stuff like that." She was like, "Yes, I promise we'll do those things for you." So I took the leap of faith. I made this decision, and I moved out on my own, and I took this huge leap of faith, and it was scary. But I noticed a couple of months into it, my family stopped showing up. And I know this is a sad story, but I'm sorry. But I need to share this because it's important that you guys understand that everything is not always pretty, right? Everything's not perfect. So I would notice they would stop showing up, and it was one of those things where I felt abandoned, and I was sad, and I was angry. I was all of these different things. And I did not know why it was happening to me, but I just felt lost, right? So then I had to figure something out. So I went to my counselor, and I talked to her. She was like, "Well, you should probably try to move to a bigger city. There's a university at VCU." And I was like, "Okay, what do I need to do?" She was like, "All right, you need to work on your grades. Let's get them up." So I worked so hard, you guys. I worked so hard, day in and day out, just working on my grades because here I am in Williamsburg, Virginia. There's only one sidewalk here, right? It ends at the outlets. And that's all you got. So here I am. I'm just working hard. And one particular night, my family was supposed to pick me up, and it was raining, and they didn't show up. And it was one of the most pivotal moments in my life because that's when I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I worked my butt off, and I ended up applying for VCU. And I think a couple of weeks later, I had my neighbor read my mail for me. So she got my mail, and I'm kind of sitting there, and she's like, "All right, Antonio, you sitting there, are you ready?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she ended up opening up the letter, and she goes, "Congratulations. you've got accepted into VCU.
Woo!
Right? And if it wasn't for my circumstance in that situation, I probably would have never made that step. And up until that point, I never had such a success of that magnitude. So I was just like flying high, and I was like beyond excited. So I ended up moving to Richmond. And I discovered running. Of course, many of you know all these medals I got. I discovered running. And at some point, VCU caught a hold of me running, and they said, hey, we have this like half marathon coming up. Will you be part of our marketing campaign? And I was like, sure, why not? I don't mind. And they asked me, it's like, are you gonna run it? I was like, no, because every time the half marathon or marathon starts, the ambulance come right behind it. So I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stick this one out. So I ended up taking pictures, and I was like, hey, where did these pictures go? And he was like, oh, we don't really know what we're gonna use them for, but we'll let you know. So I ended up getting this email a little ways later, and it was like a list of addresses. They was like, hey, here's the addresses for where your billboard is going to be. So I ended up on 7 billboards, right, in Richmond. And this was a crazy moment for me because, like, me transitioning from being in Williamsburg and being in a place where I felt abandoned and I didn't feel seen. And now here I am, like in Richmond, and I'm on billboards. Everybody sees me. So you know what I did? You already know what I did. I grabbed Kiara, who's there now. I grabbed her, and we went to every single last billboard, and I took a picture. The last one was crazy though, because it was on the highway. So then she had to pull over to the shoulder. And don't try this at home, but I had to hop out the car. So I was on the highway in front of the hood of the car like this. Right? But that was such a big moment for me, and that taught me like a very valuable lesson, is that sometimes we go through struggles, and you have to really like take a chance on yourself. And the solution to your problem may not be everyone around you. The solution to your problem may be yourself. So I had to learn how to do everything I can to become everything I need to be successful. So I ended up on these billboards, and then I had a friend who came to me and was like, hey, Antoine, the babies. Sorry. He said, hey, Antoine, I want to run this half marathon. Will you run it with me? And if you guys know anything about me, I cannot say no to anyone, right? It's just one of my things. So I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'll run this half marathon with you. So I said, fine. So I started training for this half marathon, and during the training, I got 2 guides, and we kind of mapped out a way to get through the training and get through the practice, like, right? Like, how do you handle it? Because you're running like, 13 miles? Mm-hmm. So one of our goals was to drink water, and then like halfway through the race, I'll switch to Gatorade, right? Because, you're gonna need the extra calories and electrolytes. But then I saw during practice, like, people were eating cookies. And I was like, why are y'all eating cookies? Y'all are crazy running and eating cookies. It's like the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. So I told my guy, I was like, listen, we're gonna drink water, and then we're gonna switch to Gatorade halfway through the race. So the day right before the race, I wake up with an attitude. I have a witness here. I was so grumpy that day because I was so worried about the task at hand, right? I've never run a marathon, and I knew about the ambulance thing. So I was like, I was walking into danger. It just was not a fun thing for me to think about. So I was grumpy the whole time. So I kind of calmed myself down, and then we begin the race, and I'm rolling. I'm getting going. And about mile 6, I'm fine. So like, I kind of pick it up. So we're still on water. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm on water. And then we get around mile 8, and I'm like, I'm starting to feel a little funny, right? So I'm like toughing it up, and I'm still on water. I'm like, we're not going to switch to Gatorade yet. About mile 10, he's like, are you okay? You want more water? I'm like, no. Can I have some cookies, please? So by mile 10, I'm eating cookies the size of my hand while I'm running, right? You ever see in the races where you have like the marathons, it's always the African guys in front. It's like a group of them, right? And they're just running so clear, got perfect form. They're not even sweating. That wasn't me. I'm like the guy behind them running like he missed a cab or something. So just like sweat and or tears coming down my face, and I'm eating a cookie. I'm eating this cookie, and by the time I'm like by mile 12, I'm on like my third cookie in this race. But I start to think about everything that I've been through in this task that I dreaded the whole time. I started to think about like me going through Williamsburg and being on my own and being by myself. I think about the billboard. I think about all the pain, all the struggle that I've endured up until this point. And I'm just getting closer and closer to the finish line. My God's letting me know. So it's like I take a step. And I'm just thinking about all of these things, like my whole life ahead of me. And I'm thinking about this accomplishment that I'm about to accomplish. And I start thinking about dreams. And I start to realize this is not my dream, right? This is somebody else's dream. It's like somehow I've gotten so far in life that I've been able to accomplish dreams that I didn't even dream. This is one of you guys' dream. I don't know whose dream it is, but I'm like living it, I'm accomplishing it. And it's one of the most like eye-opening things that I've ever experienced in my life. So one of my guides told me that like, he was like, hey Antoine, if you finish this half marathon under 2 hours, you never have to run one again. So I was like, okay. So we finished we crossed the finish line, and the first thing I asked my guy when I look over at him, I was like, what's our time? And he said 1 hour and 54 minutes. And I was like, I'm never running a half marathon ever again. This is it. So that's the story of my first and last half marathon, right? I'm never running again, but the greatest thing is that I put myself out there and I attempted it and I accomplished it. And I gained so much wisdom and knowledge from it that I am here before you today being seen, and I'm no longer feeling abandoned. I feel love. I'm just elated that I'm able to like give my pain like purpose, right? So I'm able to help you guys navigate when you guys go through something you go through. Obstacles are meant to be like tackled. They're meant to be hurdled. So thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my story. But I want you guys to challenge yourselves and run a half marathon, okay? Thank you.